Good evening, board members and Mr. Gonzalez and district staff. The time is 6 p.m. on this day of the 8th day of March, 2022. I call this business committee meeting of the United Independent School District of Trustees to order. Roll call would be Mr. Molina.
Ricardo Molina.
Juan Roberto Ramírez.
Ricardo Brinco is present. Let the record show the duty call that notice of meeting has been posted in accordance in the Texas Open Act meeting. We'll stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Flag. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the flag.
States under God, one.
Public comments.
There are no public comments, sir.
The what?
No public comments.
We go to agenda item 3, notice of a grant application to be submitted on behalf of the district.
Good evening, board members and superintendent. This evening, I'd like to provide notice of grant applications that may be submitted on behalf of the district. We're looking at the 2021-2024 American Rescue Plan Homeless 2 Federal Grant. We'll be coordinating this with Grants Administration, Federal Programs, and the Division of Business and Finance to increase the capacity to identify, enroll, and provide wraparound services for our homeless students and youth due to COVID. The amount we're seeking is allocated at $393,602. Any questions?
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Budget updates for 2022-2023.
Good evening, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Ramirez, Mr. Molina, Superintendent Mr. Troutman. The Division of Finance has been working with the Chief Financial Officer and with Human Resources and various other departments. Where we're at right now with the budget is we've gone through some staffing. We've already met with the elementary schools, especially those principals that had some questions over their future staffing. We're in the middle of meeting with middle schools. We should meet with them right after spring break, and then we'll go ahead and start tackling the information at the high school level. We should be receiving some preliminary values from the Webb County Appraisal District on our property values around April, so we'll start doing revenue projections. But right now, really, we're looking at staffing and meeting with the campuses first. We did have a real quick meeting with the departments to discuss their vacancies. We'll make some decisions on some of the vacancies here in the near future. And that's pretty much where we're at right now with the budget process.
Any questions?
The questions?
Thank you.
Item C, presentation of Stone Spring DX LLC regarding COVID-19 testing program.
Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Ramirez, Mr. Molina, Mr. Gonzalez, and members of the audience, I know this item was presented, brought to the business committee for presentation. The individuals are not here. What we can work, sir, is reach out to them tomorrow to find out, get some information, and be able to report back to the board on what we're able to find out from them.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 4A, approval of monthly disbursements.
Yes, sir, Mr. Rodriguez, the Division of Finance has presented you with disbursements for the month of February. If you have any, I don't know if you have any questions at this time.
Questions? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B, approval of property tax refunds for the month of February 2022.
Yes, sir, Mr. Rodriguez, we're presenting you with 3 refunds. 2 of them are overpayments, the first one and the last one. The one in the middle, the person actually made their payment on their tax bill, but actually had submitted an ARB review, and the review was granted, so we owed them back the difference in the recalculated value of their property. So these total $8,885.65. These are the reimbursements over $500, but the total amount dispersed by the tax office for all reimbursements was $527,497.58. Questions? Sorry, any questions?
Item C, discussion of possible action to rescind award of RFP 066-2021 district-wide pest control services due to the withdrawal of the award vendor.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Ramirez, Mr. Molina, Mr. Gonzalez, and district staff. This RFP was awarded at the December 15th, 2021 board meeting, and the vendor has withdrawn their solicitation. So the district rebid this out, and we'll be presenting the recommended vendor in the next agenda items. And we also resolicited with updated specifications.
Thank you.
Thank you. D, approval of CSP competitive sealed proposals as a method of procurement for the construction of the road extension of Vaquero Boulevard related to the construction of Juan Roberto Ramirez Middle School.
Good evening again. So as per Government Code 2269.056, before we go out on a construction project using a method other than our default method, which is job order contract, we must first come to you to ask permission for the solicitation method. We're requesting competitive sealed proposals for the road extension in Vaquero Boulevard, and this is part of the Juan Roberto Ramirez Middle School.
Any questions, Mr. Ramirez? No. Thank you, ma'am. Item E, discussion of possible action to recommend to the board of trustees approval of the CSP 080-2021 reconstruction of various athletic fields at the United South High School and LBJ High School.
The recommendation from staff is to award this project to CT Fieldscapes in the amount of $2,169,882, which includes $150,000 contingency allowance.
Any questions?
No questions?
Questions?
Item F, approval of recommendations of GOC 005-2021 water bottle filling stations at current water fountains on the United UISD campuses.
As per policy, anytime we have a job order contract above the $500,000 threshold, we must bring this to you for your consideration. This is an ESER 3 project. It is to retrofit, although not all of them, but strategically at all of our campuses, the drinking fountains for water filling stations. The recommended vendor is Romo Contractors LLC, and the amount is $584,500, which includes a $50,000 contingency allowance to be used by the district only.
Questions?
How many campuses are they going to be, or are they going to put the,
This is at all of our campuses, all elementary, middle, and high schools. It's not all of the water fountains, but an assessment was done by our facilities department, and they gave us the actual breakdown of which water fountains need to be converted.
thank you.
I did.
Any other questions?
No questions?
Questions? Thank you.
Item G, approval of updates and tabulations of RFP 007-2021 drinking water, which was approved on June 23rd, 2021, regular board meeting due to a price increase as per vendor's memo dated on March the 3rd, 2022.
So this is one of our bids that you've awarded in the past, and the vendor has had a big increase due to his supplier, as well as fuel and other costs. So they are asking that if we will please update the tabulations so that they can bill accordingly. So they're not going to bill accordingly until you all approve it. But this is a price increase to $7.25 for the 5-gallon containers. None of the other items are being increased, like the cups or the racks or anything like that. It's just the actual 5-gallon jugs.
Mr. Molina?
No, thank you. No question.
Thank you. Item H, approval of awarding bids, proposals, and qualifications.
We have the following for your consideration. RFQ 006-2021, Architectural and Engineering Design and Construction Administration Services for building renovations and upgrades of student restrooms and science classrooms at Reese Elementary. The recommendation is for Cavazos and Associates as the most qualified architect. RFP 007-2021, Architectural and Engineering Design and Construction Administration Services, building renovations and upgrades of existing science labs at United South Middle School. Again, the recommended vendor is Cavazos and Associates as the most qualified. And architectural RFQ 008-2021, Architectural and Engineering Design and Construction Administration Service building renovations and additions at United South High School to JHS Architects/Alta Architects as the most qualified. RFP 022-002, this is our district-wide copiers and digital duplicators. The recommended vendor is Dayhill Office Technology, which is DBA Xerox of Southwest. This is a 48-month contract, and the estimated amount over that 48-month period is $3,152,226.80. RFP 2022-004, district-wide termite control services to ASASH Pest Control, estimated annual amount $35,275, and this is the replacement bid for the withdrawal from the December board meeting. RFP 079-2021, web-based program to develop and monitor high-quality IEPs. The recommended vendor is Enum, which is Goldbook. The estimated annual cost is $154,762.50. And those are all the recommendations for this month.
Any questions?
No questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Item I, approval of the district forms for the following employment contracts, addendums, supplemental duties, and letters of assurance for 22-23 school work year.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gonzalez. This information is simply to bring before you employment contracts and other support documentation as reviewed by our general counsel. And what it does, basically, it brings us in line with all statutes, regulations, and all sorts of guidelines that impact professional employment for our employees. So everything is in order. Our blessing has been given by General Counsel, Mr. Steve Troutman. So we bring this for your review consideration with hopefully approval so that we can follow the process of contract renewals, which will happen within the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, sir. Item J, approval of request of the board members, use of board trustees' discretionary funds for various campuses and departments.
Members of the board, normally this is included in your packet. It was inadvertently left out, so I'm going to go ahead and read them. They will be a part of the board agenda as a consent item. So Troutman Middle School, Mr. Gilbert Navarro, requesting for Mr. Javier Montemayor for 3D printers for Troutman Middle School STEM students for $1,000. Clark Elementary School, Ms. Perez, principal, requester for Javier Montemayor, student incentives for Lexa Weekly Challenge, $1,200. The Cherish Center, Ms. Laura Salinas, requester for Mr. Javier Montemayor, incentives of awards and trophies for the 2021-2022 Chess Club for the amount of $528. Veterans Memorial, Ms. Sedna Ramirez, requester for Mr. Velis, incentives to promote attendance, certificates from Domino's Pizza. They obtained perfect attendance in the amount of $1,998. And then the last item is all four high schools. On behalf of all four principal requesters for Mr. Frank Castillo, incentives to attend the 2021-2022 Texas Boys State at UTA for a grand total for all four high schools of $2,640. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 5, adjournment. We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Adjourn.